Now the brothers was dapping and I was rapping, and there wasn't nobody giving a damn. We was sweating and crying and bleeding and dying way off in somebody's Vietnam. And Bobby's calling to me saying, "Hey Sarge, I'm shivering here. Can you do me something?" And I said, "Okay, GI, we're going to tighten you up, but you got to hang in there, man. You got to hang in there." So I detailed little Andy. I said, "Little Andy, get the man a blanket." Little Andy said, "Hey Sarge." I said, No, hey Sarge, no bull jive. Little Andy, you will get the man a blanket, and you will do it now. You see, what had happened was a sapper come through the wire. You see, an infiltrator come through the concertina wire, the barbed wire, tossed a satchel charge, an explosive device into Bobby's hoocher when Bobby come running out. Then they gut shot him with an AK-47. Now he laying on the cold, hard Cameron Bay ground, and he's shivering. Even though we put the blanket on him, he's shivering. It's that shiver comes from the marrow of your bones when the body knows it's going to die, and ain't a thing you can do about it but maybe close down a couple organ systems, keep a little blood going to the brain, get the heart and the lungs going just a little bit longer. Doctor man be calling that stuff syncope, but we call it death rattle because every time we hear it, somebody's soul get cut free into the Vietnam night. And it wasn't that much longer before Bobby stopped shivering altogether. I walked away from his body laying there on the Vietnam ground, and I'm thinking to myself, is there one good thing come out of this war? Just one. It was 3 o'clock in the Vietnam morning, and I walked over the hill to the South China Sea side of the peninsula and sat there until the sun come up, thinking the same thing. Is there one good thing come out of this? One good thing? I couldn't think of one. And it was 4 months later I stepped off of my Freedom Bird onto the tarmac of San Francisco International Airport. I smelled sea breeze from the bay. I smelled jet fumes, smelled to me like kerosene, smelled to me like home, smelled like L.A. I heard a noise. I looked over my left shoulder, and there's a forklift pulling a skid off of my airplane. This skid is stacked high with coffins like cordwood, with coffins like garbage, but they put a big tarp over it so the people looking out from the window of the airport don't see what the wages of war really are. And the brothers was dapping and I was rapping, and there wasn't nobody giving a damn. We was sweating and crying and bleeding and dying way off in somebody's Vietnam, and it's 3 o'clock in the San Francisco morning. Now I'm walking through the terminal, get to my connecting flight. And halfway to my connecting flight, going down this concourse, I see a woman come out of the crowd looking and coming right at me. You see, I'm traveling on orders, which means I'm in uniform. Easy to spot a man in uniform, but she was looking so beautiful, had flowers in her hair and a dress of psychedelic colors, and walking right up to me, and I'm thinking, Jack, you gonna get lucky tonight. And she come right up to me and said, "Sir, can I speak with you?" I said, "Ma'am, I have been 12 months unaccompanied in country. You could talk to me all night long." She said, "Did you kill any babies? Did you rape any little girls? Did you bomb with napalm?" I answered every question she had because I figured she had a right to know those things. Even though she didn't realize it, I worked for her. And when I was done answering every one of her questions, then she spit in my face. Then she said in a voice that was livid and low, "War is bad. Killing is bad." And I let her spit hang on my face. And I spoke to her through it. And I told her how right she was. And how happy I was that she was never going to have to find out for herself just how bad war can really get. And the brothers was dapping and I was rapping, and there wasn't nobody giving a damn. We was sweating and crying and bleeding and dying way off in somebody's Vietnam. And it was 20 years later, I walked out into the Pasadena night, and I climbed on the big bike and I kicked it alive and sat on it till it warmed up, put it on a freeway going westbound past Glendale, Burbank, Thousand Oaks, westbound all the way out to Chatsworth, and pulled it off into the back of somebody's graveyard over there, sitting in the dark at the top of a hill. And down at the bottom of the hill, underneath broad lights, there was a portable version of the Vietnam War Memorial. I'd come to see Bobby, come to talk to Bobby, had 20 years of stuff to talk to him about. And when I looked down there, I saw news vans, and they were all going around talking to people who would rubbing their fingers and stuff on that wall, on the names on that wall. And they were asking the people things like, Who is this you're rubbing over here? Is this your daddy, your uncle? Is this your brother, your husband? Who is this? Do you realize how many people think such a bad war that was, that these people here ought to be tried posthumously as war criminals? Are you ashamed of the person that you're rubbing on this wall? And I thought to myself, questions like that would be a silly thing for me to have to kill a news person over. So I didn't go down right away. I sat the bike and waited. And finally, they all gave up and left. Then I started down, and it was 3 o'clock in the morning. And when I went from the darkness to the light, I saw something out the corner of my eye. Looked over to the left, and there's 15 or 20 brothers walking down with me. I looked over to the right, and there's 10 or 15 more brothers coming down with me. And we just stopped for a moment, looked at each other, didn't have to say a damn thing because we knew. It was intuitive. The mud of Vietnam sticks very tightly to the souls of those who have walked through her. And I found Bobby, and it didn't take that long. And I took my thumb and I rubbed it on him. I said, "You sorry-ass son of a bitch. For 20 years, I've been trying to figure out how I could have saved your life that night. For 20 years, I've been trying to figure out how come it was you and not me that went. It'd rather been me. I wouldn't have to carry this guilt around with me the whole damn time." And I looked behind the wall, and I saw Bobby looking at me in my mind's eye. And I saw all the GIs that were killed in that war looking at me. And behind them, I saw all of the Vietnamese, north, south, men, women, and children, fully 2 million of them that died in that war. And behind all of them, still in my mind's eye, on the top of a hill in light, I saw hippies and poets and activists, and they're marching in a big circle. And they're carrying signs saying, "Hell no, we won't go. Hey, LBJ, how many kids we going to kill today? Let's light them up with napalm. They'll burn all through the night." And then it hit me. The one good thing come out of the Vietnam War. It was enough. It was wrong enough, bad enough, obscene enough, morbid, horrible enough. That men, women, and children, mommies and daddies and aunts and uncles got off their dead ass and marched out into the night and took their country back and told the politicians, "No, you're doing a wrong thing and you're doing it in a wrong way. You will stop it, or we'll get somebody in there that will." And as I walked back to the bike, that little refrain kept knocking around in my brain again. Because the brothers was dapping and I was rapping. And somebody gave a damn that we was sweating and crying and bleeding and dying way off in Vietnam. Thank you. Thank you.